Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, January 29th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will still be moving around. That is because the market's open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker number one, SOXS. Did this one a few days ago, and I put in one of my favorite patterns, the falling wedge pattern. And you can see over the past day and a half, beautiful breakout. So the breakout actually started right there midday on Thursday, and then it's just gotten that much more continuation here. So overall, classic example there of a falling wedge pattern. And I realize that means a little bit more to those of you that watched the video from a couple days ago, but nonetheless wanted to build a little bit of context. But we'll zoom in here more and look at some of the more relevant levels at this point. So first key area to watch from a resistance standpoint would be right up here at that level of $5.12. You can see, and that's give or take a couple pennies, but right there presented a problem. And then right here, the price just hovered right below it. So even if you wanted to drop that line down and call it, 510, 511, I wouldn't, in fact, I am going to do that because then I'll tell you exactly why. Yeah, right at this area here at about 509, because here you can actually see, generally speaking, rejected, generally speaking, rejected. Generally speaking, actually got slightly above it, but rejected. So right now, moving forward, keep a very close eye on that red line there. If there are any sort of pullbacks, then the level that I would say is definitely very important moving forward is all about now that purple line right there, the 50 period moving average, keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to start to curl upwards and then start to get an upward slope to it. And when that occurs, it's essentially functioning as an uptrending trend line. So if you're bullish, then of course you want to see a price stay above an uptrending trend line, and that's what that purple line can do for you. So you can see for quite a while it had the downward slope to it, but now it's starting to level off. So if the price can stay above it, it'll start to curl back upwards. And at that point, just to keep this very simplistic, you want to see the price stay above that level as it becomes the main area of support. Next one here, ticker symbol PHUN. Overall, not a whole lot to talk about. I want to get one little thing updated here, and this is what I was referring to previously, but that purple line there, 50 period moving average, talked about as an area of resistance. And you can see right here, sure enough, price came up there and got rejected right off that level, and back down it went. So moving forward, that purple line there will be the initial area. From a bigger picture standpoint, it's all about still 48 cents up at that area. But that's kind of, getting ahead of yourself, because let's just first see if the price can even get up above that purple line there. But again, you got the confirmation right there. That's going to be the initial battleground to keep an eye on. In terms of levels of support, nothing new here to report. All about the level I talked about previously, right down there at the 27-cent mark. So if this does ultimately, there's kind of a little miniature trend line here. But if the price does break through that, I think there's a very realistic chance it at least goes down to 27. And at that point, what happens, that remains to be seen. But overall, those will be the main levels headed into Monday. Next one here, ticker symbol INTC. Intel had very, very bad earnings. I think I read somewhere this was like its worst day in a few years, but I guess I don't know that for sure. Point being, it's Intel, relatively popular stock. It's part of the semiconductors and, all those ones, the chips, all that. So point being and saying all that is a lot of people are watching these sorts of stocks. And you have a stock that a lot of people are watching get absolutely beat down. Then you can start to generate some almost self-fulfilling prophecies where things just turn around just because. And what catches my eye in this situation is the price has very clearly started to go sideways right there at about 43.30. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because the price, after getting beat down, has essentially gone sideways does not mean for sure guaranteed the selling is over and this thing's getting ready to rebound back up. My point here is that it becomes a whole lot more plausible. Case in point, let's say the price was just dropping, and I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this could be a bottom. You'd be totally justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? The price is literally going straight down. But that's not the case here. It has started to go sideways. Again, a guaranteed bottom, of course not. Rational to think that I could turn around and get at least some sort of bounce. Absolutely. So continue to watch 43.30 as that main area of support. And then in terms of areas of resistance, main level that stands out right here around the 44.60 mark. So keep an eye on that. Or who knows, maybe this thing just turns into a sideways channel moving forward over the next few days. But point being, popular stock, big volume, absolutely beaten down. It has started to go sideways. So is that a leading indicator of a bounce to come? We'll see what happens. Next one here, ticker symbol MARA. Did this one previously, talked about the big wedge pattern here, and we got our answer as I talked about. The pattern was running out of steam, but came up, actually gapped up. So a gap up breakthrough, and then has continued to move very, very nicely through that pattern. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that. So that's the overall context. Is it is now officially in the middle of that wedge breakout. And this is where things get a little tricky, because I understand if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 10 minutes, well then yeah, from that angle, things are rough, because sure, there has been a pullback from that point right there. But with that being said, if you care about the bigger picture, well, part of that is saying, okay, yeah, fair enough, it's pulled back this afternoon, but what was going on before the pullback? And you would say, as we already talked about, well, there's that big gap up right there. And in doing all that, it is now giving me the ability to draw a bull flag pattern. So again, big context, that wedge pattern has been broken out of. Within that, and a smaller context, you can now see a bull flag pattern has formed. So overall, got the breakout. Now you have the bull flag. So if you like these sorts of dynamics, then definitely keep an eye on MARA into next week. Next one, AMC, and this will mean more to those that watch the previous videos, but if you have, then hopefully you remember me talking about these couple levels here, which is forming our sideways channel pattern. So nothing really new to report today other than the fact of, yeah, the top that pattern that I mapped out, you can see acted as resistance there and essentially right there. And then as far as support, 404 never got tested today. It has, it's within striking distance for sure, but technically speaking has never gotten, actually gone down there and tested. But the one thing that I do want to point out is that we do have a newer, higher priority area of resistance, and that is that purple line right there. Again, that 50 period moving average, as I've already illustrated, it will move. So you can see today, quote unquote, move down below the top of the channel. So in all actuality, before you put too much emphasis on this initial area of resistance right there, the price first now needs to prove itself that it can actually break up above that purple line. But all things considered, if you're just looking for a very straightforward summary, it would just simply be 30-minute time frame, sideways channel pattern. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to get signed up. Or if you're watching right at my site, there's an area on the webpage there you can use to click and get signed up. So if you've been enjoying, like I said, definitely get signed up for the free class. Next one here, ticker symbol SAVE. And had been doing very well off the bounce, but the past couple of days have pulled back some more. And whoops, let me move this over here. And it's now starting to enter into, I don't want to call it a do or die territory, but in some senses it's a do or die territory. And it's basically this little gap close location here, which is essentially right where it bounced off of today. So let me change that to green to represent the support. But looking back through things, you can see right here, acted as support, and then when the price broke below it, classic example. So there's the break, classic example of it acting as resistance. And now that the price is above it, once again acted as support. But the main reason why I would consider that very important is if the price falls below there, at that point it basically enters into this big no man's land on the chart where there just isn't any other, bigger areas. I'm not saying it'll, drop straight down to that area down there. But like I said, there's just this big void here. And when prices enter voids, they tend to drift in the direction of the void. And that's what you have here. Now, to be fair, the price isn't necessarily even anywhere close to 560, but nonetheless, that is why I would consider that an important area from a support standpoint. If the price does bounce back upwards, pretty straightforward right now, all about that purple line there, which you now know is that 50 period moving average. So as that line moves itself lower and lower, that'll be the main, quote unquote, tread line to keep an eye on from the resistance standpoint. Next one here, AMD, and this trend line here, which I thought previously was broken, but as I talked about in those other videos, even if that level was broken, to keep an eye on, yeah, you probably guessed it. Let me guess, Clay, the 50 period moving average. Very good. And check it out. The power of charts. Look at this. Boom, off it, came back down. And then look how it just basically hovered right above that area. So our chart's perfect. No, they're not perfect. That's not my claim. My claim is there's certainly a tool worth learning more about. So I'll turn that into a quick plug. Get signed up for that free webinar. But anyways, so I'll go ahead and get rid of that level here as it served its purpose. And now it's become very straightforward. Main area of support, yes, that 50 period moving average purple line. And as I've already shown, it's been doing a great job of holding strong. In terms of areas of resistance, you do have 184.50 up here, but I'm actually going to add in one more area because before I'd even put too much emphasis on that, it's become pretty clear that there does seem to be some sellers that have arisen right here, right around the 181.40 mark. So keep an eye on those areas. If you want to just call that a resistance zone, you could do that. But yeah, pulled back today, but all things considered, everything is still perfectly fine, as you can see here, still very much so in an uptrend. Next one here, TSLA Tesla had that very, very rough day on Thursday, and now looking like it's officially entered into a sideways channel pattern. and didn't really have a whole lot of confirmation of that on Thursday, but started to give us our lines to keep an eye on. Bottom part of this channel now is at that 180 mark, and then the top part that I started to talk about yesterday was right up there at about 186.50, and that happened to be essentially right where the price got rejected from. And then after that, not a whole lot of movement, kind of just a little tighter range here for Tesla, and that's really the main dynamic moving forward is, does it stay in this channel, or who's going to ultimately win out of this battle? Are the bears going to win and shove this to the downside of the channel, or are the bulls going to win and come back and start to reverse this thing back around? That's a big question mark moving forward, but it could very realistically, I see, just kind of chop around for the next several days next week, but we'll see how it all plays out. But point being, you got to think there's going to be a lot of eyeballs watching 180 as a support, and then that 186.50 as an area of resistance. Next one here, ticker symbol CRBP, and overall, good solid move here. Actually, a massive move when all things considered, and now you have a good solid pattern here, which you got to think a lot of people will be watching. And I make that comment because when a lot of people are watching the same patterns in this same levels, call it self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can definitely produce some dynamic movement. So you got to think a lot of people have drawn on that trend line right there, quite basic. And then in terms of support, you have this consolidation area, give or take, right around, there we go, right around that area. So actually, let me change that to green to represent the support part of the pattern, and then to keep the pattern easier to see, let's keep it one color here. So we have our resistance, we have our support. You have the big, huge move right there. For you golfers out there, put a golf hole down here, make it a little bit more visually appealing there. So this is a bull pennant pattern. Again, no such thing as a guarantee, but is it plausible that if the price can come up here and break up through that level, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? Absolutely. So if you're somebody that likes bull pennant patterns, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, ticker symbol TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market is going to go up, this one will also go up. And yeah, we've had this pullback continue today. In fact, things are getting, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level there. It's getting a little messy because I want to really focus on these levels right here. Drew in this kind of downwards channel here, and you can see it has by no means been perfect, but the price is still tending to kind of just track that area right there. In fact, maybe that, now that we have more data, could we, yeah, right there. I like that actually quite a bit. In fact, we could probably put, yeah, somewhere right around there, I think is, now that we have more data, to me, that stands out. Maybe like, no, Clay, I don't think that level has any relevance. Fair enough. But I do think there's enough data now where the price, again, not perfect because you can see right here, drop below it. But you had plenty of times where it essentially bounced right off that level. So if this does come down, I can see it finding some support somewhere right around here before at least attempting to bounce back upwards. And then if there is any sort of bigger bounce in the upward direction, and I should note that before we focus on that level too much, keep an eye on that purple line there, which with the price now below it, you'd expect it to act as at least somewhat of an area of resistance. But if the price can push up through there, next key level will be that, top part of this downward channel with, of course, the overarching level of resistance up there at 57.85. But 57.85 in some sense is not even worth talking about, even though I realize the irony of that. I just did, because first we got to talk about that, and point out the 50-period moving average, and then the top part of that channel. So overall, the pullback continues, but again, all this is happening within a very much so upwards context. So it'll be interesting to see how the price reacts with these channel levels next week. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then definitely go get signed up for that free live webinar. It'll be next week, Thursday, February 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. As far as the top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment below. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching for next week. Those really help out these videos and help out the channel. So thanks for watching. Take care. Let me know if you have any questions. Hit that like button, leave a comment, and go get signed up for that free webinar. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend.